Hi guys. So there's this thing about socializing in Canada. It's very strange for me because um it doesn't exist in other parts of the world. I think it's something about so I tried to analyze it last night. It could be stemming from European culture because Americans are not like this. It's just in Canada. So what I learned is a lot of people actually face this struggle, and I understand now where the paranoia comes from. When you socialize, because in my previous video, one of my friends was like always shocked when I said people here are not nice. On the surface level, they're polite. They're very professionally, politically polite. Very correct in the way that they speak in the mannerisms. But when it gets deeper, they dissociate. Well, that's what we call HR, human resources. What's it called? Human resources language. Okay, so it's very politically correct, but they actually don't care about others. They're very individualistic. They're very like they can leave you in the middle of nowhere. Like they don't care as long as they're okay. The other person, they don't really care about them. But in a public scene, they'd be like so polite, and so it's very confusing. It's like, who are you? You know, are you a robot? And this goes across the board. Like I'm talking even personal relationships. It's not just public relationships. I'm talking about like friends, family. People are, their standard of communicating and of thinking is like that. I call it very HR. And that's why I think immigrants and people coming in, newcomers, and they just realize that people here are kind of fake. That's how you work in the fields, and just you have to develop that character. And so I think that's where a sense of paranoia comes in when people can't trust others, and then they stick to their own kind. Because I've seen a lot of cultures integrate. Nobody's perfect. Every culture has a problem, right? Everyone has problems, ups and downs. Everyone has like different characters. But I've never seen a people stick to their people so much like here. So if you're like, let's say you want to be in the same community, you stick to your community because it's just safer, the shared values, and you know they're going to be there for you. But you don't mix with the others. And America is a bit more mixed. I would say like even in Malaysia, in Eastern cultures, they're more willing to assimilate in both ways. So newcomers coming in or whatever, they assimilate both ways. They have more adaptability like that, and they're okay with it, and they don't have issues in terms of like, they don't have major paranoia issues of trust and care, because when you're in a relationship, that's what you need like actual genuine care. You can't teach that. You can't. So unless you meet someone eye to eye with similar values, great. So here it's just very different, and I meet a lot of Canadians who actually agree with the same thing. They agree, but they're also like that, and they don't realize it. They call it, some people call it the white culture. It's not white. It's not that. It's more of a conservative, very cold character. It's not because of the winter. It's just cold. I think a lot of you have seen like the German videos of how strict the like friends could be about money, about things like that. They just can't see like the benefit they get for like being caring about another person. It doesn't come naturally to them. And so I think that's where it stems. So I'm trying to analyze it as a society. Where is this coming from? And I think it's because the Europeans, and it's closer to like European culture, the dynamics and everything. Because the Inuits and the Aboriginals, they're not like that. They don't have that character. They're very different. So I think this is this is the different mentality that is here. It's very uneasy, and I think people need to like change and relax, because that brings isolation, and that is actually created from isolation as well. When you're isolated a lot, you begin to isolate mentally and emotionally, and you don't actually know how to interact with the others. You don't know how to give and take. You don't know how to be emotionally connected with others. You're so guarded, and you think every little thing's an offense. So then you just guard yourself generally, because you just prefer isolation because it's just easier, which shouldn't be the case. To socialize should be easier because that's human nature. But because you don't have the tools, you find it very, very difficult. And you need to figure out, like, how do I not offend the other person? The other person gets offended by everything. So it's just a lot of paranoia that stems from isolation and also reverts back to isolation. And then people wonder, oh, we need friends, we need communities. Well, you don't know the basis of creating a community. You've never experienced that, and you can't just create it. It doesn't come from an external, it comes from within. If you don't know how to actually be in a giving and communal community, you can't be taught that. You have to just engage and get hurt and just be very social in all the senses of being social. I'm not just saying, oh, just talk to people and just like do the same things they do and like interact and do sports together and just for 1 or 2 hours and then go home. No, I'm talking about actually socializing, like putting them in your safe space, putting them in your comfort zone, taking your guards off, like in so many ways. Because like here, it's like if I put my guard down for 2 or 3 minutes, but then I have to put it up because, you know, I need to make sure that like nothing is hurt, like I'm not disrespected anyway. That's not how you're going to have a community, and that's not how you're going to learn both ways. There's no 50-50 in being in a community or being in a social setting. It's never 50-50. There's always one person who's giving more than the other. That's natural. And I think people don't understand that they have such a different way of exchange here. It's like, what is fair, what is not fair, and like it's just very, very measurable to the extent it becomes a sense of paranoia. Like, why does this person want to talk to me? What's their benefit? And let me just not talk to them. And yeah, I think time as well, the way, because I was watching a video yesterday and I realized that also plays into time, the understanding of time in the West and the commodity, and like how you're wasting time if you were to talk to someone that is not giving you anything, or just the concept of time in general. And I'm shifting topic here, but bear with me. I'm thinking out loud. I didn't think about this ahead of time. So when you think of time in the sense that I heard yesterday, was it like an African philosopher? They said time is not to be, like there's no time in the future. There's no future time. So there's nothing to be gained actually, but you gain from the past. So the only it's also an Arabic word. When she mentioned the word in Africa, in that language, is zamani. Zaman is an Arabic word as well. I don't know if I don't think you know the video, so I'm gonna put it down in this video so you know what I'm talking about, because I even know what I'm talking about. I just heard it once and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna look into this more. But the concept of time in Eastern culture and African culture is very different. It's like there's no concept of future. We have this, like here in the West, you stress on the future and oh my gosh, you have to do this for the future. Like you don't even know what's happening in the future, but you have so much stress and thought into it. And so in her view, it's like there's only present and past in that philosopher's view. And I was thinking that's so important. I'm like, we actually always do look to the past to make sense of the present and to be in the current. So there's always being in the present. You're always being in time. That, like Heidegger said, there's always an understanding of who you are based on your experiences and your analysis. Even if you go to therapy, you look back at what you've done and how that's created you, who you are today, and your decisions today. There's not much going on in thought for the future. And I found that so interesting. This concept of future that you don't even know, you just have to visualize, is based on what? It is actually based on your present and past. So I think that priority to keep in mind your past and present actions and analyze it and understand it more makes your present, makes your action more connected to who you are. So really, to understand who you are will help you be the person you are today. So what you want, let's say, like, go back to the topic before, what you want in the future, like you want a community, you want more friends, you want a relationship, whatever you want in the future, it doesn't make sense if you think of it in terms of the dissociation from you. Like, I want this, but it's so far from who you are as a person. So I think you have to look back at your past and dig from what you have already. What are the things that you've experienced? And from that, kind of filter and like just categorize and see what type of like characters you've had, what type of relationships you've had, analyze them, and see what your current relationships are. Like, I think that's so important, more than just saying, oh, I want someone like this. Like, you've never met someone like that. So how are you going to get something like you've never, that doesn't stem from you? You know what I mean? Like, you have to have a certain characteristics that stems from you to connect deeply with something in the future. But to just think of something, I want this, and there's no actual root, like, to bring in from the past and the present, it's not going to happen, you know? It's just an interesting concept. I think I'm going to go into it later and like read more about it, but this was just a spontaneous video, and I thought, I haven't done Sundays in somewhere in a while, in a week, I think. So this is going to be the topic.